the Enchiridion, and other short works, by Lantern Library. Part 1. Chapter 1. Of things some are in our power, and others are not. In our power are opinion, movement towards a thing, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own acts. Not in our power are the body, property, reputation, offices, magisterial power, and in a word, whatever are not our own acts. And the things in our power are by nature free, not subject to restraint nor hindrance. But the things not in our power are weak, slavish, subject to restraint in the power of others. Remember then that if you think the things which are by nature slavish to be free, and the things which are in the power of others to be your own, you will be hindered, you will lament, you will be disturbed, you will blame both gods and men. But if you think that only which is your own to be your own, and if you think that what is another's, as it really is, belongs to another, no man will ever compel you, no man will hinder you, you will never blame any man, you will accuse no man, you will do nothing involuntarily, against your will. No man will harm you, you will have no enemy, for you will not suffer any harm. If then you desire, aim at, such great things, remember that you must not attempt to lay hold of them with a small effort. But you must leave alone some things entirely and postpone others for the present. But if you wish for these things also, such great things, and power, office, and wealth, perhaps you will not gain even these very things, power and wealth, because you aim also at those former things, such great things. Too certainly you will fail in those things through which alone happiness and freedom are secured. Straightway then practice saying to every harsh appearance, 3 you are an appearance, and in no manner what you appear to be. Then examine it by the rules which you possess, and by this first and chiefly, whether it relates to the things which are in our power or to things which are not in our power. And if it relates to anything which is not in our power, be ready to say that it does not concern you. Chapter 2. Remember that desire contains in it the profession, hope, of obtaining that which you desire. And the profession, hope, in aversion, turning from a thing, is that you will not fall into that which you attempt to avoid. And he who fails in his desire is unfortunate, and he who falls into that which he would avoid is unhappy. If then you attempt to avoid only the things contrary to nature which are within your power, you will not be involved in any of the things which you would avoid. But if you attempt to avoid disease or death or poverty, you will be unhappy. Take away then aversion from all things which are not in our power, and transfer it to the things contrary to nature which are in our power. But destroy desire completely for the present. For if you desire anything which is not in our power, you must be unfortunate. But of the things in our power, and which it would be good to desire, nothing yet is before you. But employ only the power of moving towards an object and retiring from it. And these powers indeed only slightly, and with exceptions, and with remission. 4. Chapter 3. In everything which pleases the soul, or supplies a want, or is loved, remember to add this to the description notion. What is the nature of each thing, beginning from the smallest? If you love an earthen vessel, say it is an earthen vessel which you love. For when it has been broken, you will not be disturbed. If you are kissing your child or wife, say that it is a human being whom you are kissing. For when the wife or child dies, you will not be disturbed. Chapter 4. When you are going to take in hand any act, remind yourself what kind of an act it is. If you are going to bathe, place before yourself what happens in the bath. Some splashing the water, others pushing against one another, others abusing one another, and some stealing. And thus with more safety you will undertake the matter, if you say to yourself, I now intend to bathe, and to maintain my will, in a manner conformable to nature. And so you will do in every act. For thus if any hindrance to bathing shall happen, let this thought be ready. It was not this only that I intended, but I intended also to maintain my will in a way conformable to nature. But I shall not maintain it so if I am vexed at what happens. Chapter 5. Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things. For example, death is nothing terrible, for if it were, it would have seemed so to Socrates. For the opinion about death, that it is terrible, is the terrible thing. When then we are impeded or disturbed or grieved, let us never blame others, but ourselves, that is, our opinions. It is the act of an ill-instructed man to blame others for his own bad condition. It is the act of one who has begun to be instructed to lay the blame on himself, and of one whose instruction is completed neither to blame another nor himself. Chapter 6. Be not elated at any advantage, excellence, which belongs to another. If a horse, when he is elated, should say, I am beautiful, one might endure it. But when you are elated, and say, I have a beautiful horse, you must know that you are elated at having a good horse. 5. What then is your own? The use of appearances. Consequently, when in the use of appearances you are conformable to nature, then be elated, for then you will be elated at something good which is your own. Chapter 7. As on a voyage when the vessel has reached a port, if you go out to get water, it is an amusement by the way to pick up a shellfish or some bulb, but your thoughts ought to be directed to the ship, and you ought to be constantly watching if the captain should call, and then you must throw away all those things, that you may not be bound and pitched into the ship like sheep. So in life also, if there be given to you instead of a little bulb and a shell a wife and child, there will be nothing to prevent you from taking them. But if the captain should call, run to the ship, and leave all those things without regard to them. But if you are old, do not even go far from the ship, lest when you are called you make default. Chapter 10. On the occasion of every event that befalls you, remember to turn to yourself and inquire what power you have for turning it to use. If you see a fair man or a fair woman, you will find that the power to resist is temperance, continence. If labor, pain, be presented to you, you will find that it is endurance. If it be abusive words, you will find it to be patience. And if you have been thus formed to the proper habit, the appearances will not carry you along with them. Chapter 11. Never say about anything, I have lost it, but say, I have restored it. Is your child dead? It has been restored. Is your wife dead? She has been restored. Has your estate been taken from you? Has not then this also been restored? But he who has taken it from me is a bad man. But what is it to you, by whose hands the giver demanded it back? So long as he may allow you, take care of it as a thing which belongs to another, as travelers do with their inn. Chapter 12. If you intend to improve, throw away such thoughts as these. If I neglect my affairs, I shall not have the means of living. Unless I chastise my slave, he will be bad. For it is better to die of hunger, and so to be released from grief and fear, than to live in abundance with probation. And it is better for your slave to be bad than for you to be unhappy. 7. Begin then from little things. Is the oil spilled? Is a little wine stolen? Say on the occasion, at such price is sold freedom from probation. At such price is sold tranquility, but nothing is got for nothing. And when you call your slave, consider that it is possible that he does not hear, and if he does hear, that he will do nothing which you wish. But matters are not so well with him, but altogether well with you, that it should be in his power for you to be not disturbed. 8. Part 2. Chapter 13. If you would improve, submit to be considered without sense and foolish with respect to externals. Wish to be considered to know nothing, and if you shall seem to some to be a person of importance, distrust yourself. For you should know that it is not easy both to keep your will in a condition conformable to nature, and to secure external things. But if a man is careful about the one, it is an absolute necessity that he will neglect the other. Chapter 14. If you would have your children and your wife and your friends to live forever, you are silly. For you would have the things which are not in your power to be in your power, and the things which belong to others to be yours. So if you would have your slave to be free from faults, you are a fool, for you would have badness not to be badness, but something else. 9. But if you wish not to fail in your desires, you are able to do that. Practice then this which you are able to do. He is the master of every man who has the power over the things, which another person wishes or does not wish, the power to confer them on him or to take them away. Whoever then wishes to be free, let him neither wish for anything nor avoid anything which depends on others. If he does not observe this rule, he must be a slave. Chapter 15. Remember that in life you ought to behave as at a banquet. Suppose that something is carried round and is opposite to you. Stretch out your hand and take a portion with decency. Suppose that it passes by you. Do not detain it. Suppose that it is not yet come to you. Do not send your desire forward to it, but wait till it is opposite to you. Do so with respect to children, so with respect to a wife, so with respect to magisterial offices, so with respect to wealth, and you will be sometime a worthy partner of the banquets of the gods. But if you take none of the things which are set before you, and even despise them, then you will be not only a fellow banqueter with the gods, but also a partner with them in power. For by acting thus Diogenes and Heraclitus, and those like them, were deservedly divine, and were so called. Chapter 16. When you see a person weeping in sorrow, either when a child goes abroad, or when he is dead, or when the man has lost his property, take care that the appearance do not hurry you away with it, as if he were suffering in external things. 10. But straightway make a distinction in your own mind, and be in readiness to say, it is not that which has happened that afflicts this man, for it does not afflict another, but it is the opinion about this thing which afflicts the man. So far as words, then, do not be unwilling to show him sympathy. 11. And even if it happens so, to lament with him. But take care that you do not lament internally also. Chapter 17. Remember that thou art an actor in a play, 12 of such a kind as the teacher, author, 13 may choose, if short, of a short one, if long, of a long one. If he wishes you to act the part of a poor man, see that you act the part naturally. If the part of a lame man, of a magistrate, of a private person, do the same. For this is your duty, to act well the part that is given to you, but to select the part belongs to another. Chapter 18. When a raven has croaked inauspiciously, let not the appearance hurry you away with it, but straightway make a distinction in your mind and say, none of these things is signified to me, but either to my poor body, or to my small property, or to my reputation, or to my children, or to my wife. But to me all significations are auspicious, if I choose. For whatever of these things results, it is in my power to derive benefit from it. Chapter 19. You can be invincible if you enter into no contest in which it is not in your power to conquer. Take care then, when you observe a man honored before others, or possessed of great power, or highly esteemed for any reason, not to suppose him happy, and be not carried away by the appearance. For if the nature of the good is in our power, neither envy nor jealousy will have a place in us. But you yourself will not wish to be a general or senator or consul, but a free man. And there is only one way to this, to despise, care not for, the things which are not in our power. Chapter 20. Remember that it is not he who reviles you or strikes you who insults you, but it is your opinion about these things as being insulting. When then a man irritates you, you must know that it is your own opinion which has irritated you. Therefore especially try not to be carried away by the appearance, for if you once gain time and delay, you will more easily master yourself. Chapter 22. If you desire philosophy, prepare yourself from the beginning to be ridiculed, to expect that many will sneer at you, and say, he has all at once returned to us as a philosopher. And whence does he get this supercilious look for us? Do you not show a supercilious look, but hold on to the things which seem to you best as one appointed by God to this station. And remember that if you abide in the same principles, These men who first ridiculed will afterwards admire you. But if you shall have been overpowered by them, you will bring on yourself double ridicule. Chapter 23. If it should ever happen to you to be turned to externals in order to please some person, you must know that you have lost your purpose in life. 14. Be satisfied then in everything with being a philosopher. And if you wish to seem also to any person to be a philosopher, appear so to yourself, and you will be able to do this. Chapter 24. Let not these thoughts afflict you. I shall live unhonored and be nobody nowhere. For if want of honor is an evil, you cannot be an evil through the means, fault, of another any more than you can be involved in anything base. Is it then your business to obtain the rank of a magistrate, or to be received at a banquet? By no means. How then can this be want of honor, dishonor? And how will you be nobody nowhere, when you ought to be somebody in those things only which are in your power, in which indeed it is permitted to you to be a man of the greatest worth? But your friends will be without assistance. What do you mean by being without assistance? They will not receive money from you, nor will you make them Roman citizens. Who then told you that these are among the things which are in our power, and not in the power of others? And who can give to another what he has not himself? Acquire money then, your friends say, that we also may have something. If I can acquire money and also keep myself modest and faithful and magnanimous, point out the way, and I will acquire it. But if you ask me to lose the things which are good and my own, in order that you may gain the things which are not good, see how unfair and silly you are. Besides, which would you rather have, money, or a faithful and modest friend? For this end then rather help me to be such a man, and do not ask me to do this by which I shall lose that character. But my country, you say, as far as it depends on me, will be without my help. I ask again, what help do you mean? It will not have porticos or baths through you. 15. And what does this mean? For it is not furnished with shoes by means of a smith, nor with arms by means of a shoemaker. But it is enough if every man fully discharges the work that is his own. And if you provided it with another citizen faithful and modest, would you not be useful to it? Yes. Then you also cannot be useless to it. What place, then, you say, shall I hold in the city? Whatever you can, if you maintain at the same time your fidelity and modesty. But if when you wish to be useful to the state, you shall lose these qualities, what profit could you be to it, if you were made shameless and faithless? Part 3. Chapter 25. Has any man been preferred before you at a banquet, or in being saluted, or in being invited to a consultation? If these things are good, you ought to rejoice that he has obtained them. But if bad, be not grieved because you have not obtained them. And remember that you cannot, if you do not the same things in order to obtain what is not in our own power, be considered worthy of the same equal things. For how can a man obtain an equal share with another when he does not visit a man's doors as that other man does, when he does not attend him when he goes abroad as the other man does, when he does not praise, flatter him as another does? You will be unjust then and insatiable if you do not part with the price, in return for which those things are sold, and if you wish to obtain them for nothing. Well, what is the price of lettuces? An arbalus 16 perhaps. If then a man gives up the arbalus and receives the lettuces, and if you do not give up the arbalus and do not obtain the lettuces, do not suppose that you receive less than he who has got the lettuces. For as he has the lettuces, so you have the arbalus which you did not give. In the same way then in the other matter also you have not been invited to a man's feast, for you did not give to the host the price at which the supper is sold. But he sells it for praise, flattery. He sells it for personal attention. Give then the price, 17 if it is for your interest, for which it is sold. But if you wish both not to give the price and to obtain the things, you are insatiable and silly. Have you nothing then in place of the supper? You have indeed, you have the not flattering of him, whom you did not choose to flatter. You have the not enduring 18 of the man when he enters the room. Chapter 26. We may learn the will of nature from the things in which we do not differ from one another. For instance, when your neighbor's slave has broken his cup, or anything else, we are ready to say forthwith that it is one of the things which happen. You must know then that when your cup also is broken, you ought to think as you did when your neighbor's cup was broken. Transfer this reflection to greater things also. Is another man's child or wife dead? There is no one who would not say, this is an event incident to man. But when a man's own child or wife is dead, forthwith he calls out, woe to me, how wretched I am. But we ought to remember how we feel when we hear that it has happened to others. Romans 29:20. In every act observe the things which come first, and those which follow it, and so proceed to the act. If you do not, at first you will approach it with alacrity, without having thought of the things which will follow. But afterwards, when certain base, ugly things have shown themselves, you will be ashamed. A man wishes to conquer at the Olympic Games. I also wish indeed, for it is a fine thing. But observe both the things which come first, and the things which follow, and then begin the act. You must do everything according to rule, eat according to strict orders, abstain from delicacies, exercise yourself as you are bid at appointed times, in heat, in cold. You must not drink cold water, nor wine as you choose. In a word, you must deliver yourself up to the exercise master as you do to the physician, and then proceed to the contest. And sometimes you will strain the hand, put the ankle out of joint, swallow much dust, sometimes be flogged, and after all this be defeated. When you have considered all this, if you still choose, go to the contest. If you do not, you will behave like children, who at one time play at wrestlers, another time as flute players, again as gladiators, then as trumpeters, then as tragic actors. So you also will be at one time an athlete, at another a gladiator, then a rhetorician, then a philosopher, but with your whole soul you will be nothing at all. But like an ape you imitate everything that you see, and one thing after another pleases you. For you have not undertaken anything with consideration, nor have you surveyed it well, but carelessly and with cold desire. Thus some who have seen a philosopher, and having heard one speak, as Euphrates speaks, and who can speak as he does, they wish to be philosophers themselves also. My man, first of all consider what kind of thing it is, and then examine your own nature, if you are able to sustain the character. Do you wish to be a pentathlete or a wrestler? Look at your arms, your thighs, examine your loins. For different men are formed by nature for different things. Do you think that if you do these things, you can eat in the same manner, drink in the same manner, and in the same manner loathe certain things? You must pass sleepless nights, endure toil, go away from your kinsmen, be despised by a slave, in everything have the inferior part, in honor, in office, in the courts of justice, in every little matter. Consider these things, if you would exchange for them freedom from passions, liberty, tranquility. If not, take care that, like little children, you be not now a philosopher, then a servant of the publicani, then a rhetorician, then a procurator manager for Caesar. These things are not consistent. You must be one man, either good or bad. You must either cultivate your own ruling faculty, for external things. You must either exercise your skill on internal things or on external things. That is, you must either maintain the position of a philosopher or that of a common person. Chapter 30. Duties are universally measured by relations. Is a man a father? The precept is to take care of him, to yield to him in all things, to submit when he is reproachful, when he inflicts blows. But suppose that he is a bad father. Were you then by nature made akin to a good father? No, but to a father. Does a brother wrong you? Maintain then your own position towards him, and do not examine what he is doing, but what you must do, that your will shall be conformable to nature. For another will not damage you, unless you choose, but you will be damaged then, when you shall think that you are damaged. In this way, then you will discover your duty from the relation of a neighbor. from that of a citizen, from that of a general, if you are accustomed to contemplate the relations. Chapter 31. As to piety towards the gods, you must know that this is the chief thing, to have right opinions about them, to think that they exist, and that they administer the all well and justly. And you must fix yourself in this principal duty, to obey them, and to yield to them in everything which happens, and voluntarily to follow it, as being accomplished by the wisest intelligence. For if you do so, you will never either blame the gods, nor will you accuse them of neglecting you. And it is not possible for this to be done in any other way than by withdrawing from the things which are not in our power, and by placing the good and the evil only in those things which are in our power. For if you think that any of the things which are not in our power is good or bad, it is absolutely necessary that, when you do not obtain what you wish, and when you fall into those things which you do not wish, you will find fault and hate those who are the cause of them. For every animal is formed by nature to this, to fly from, and to turn from the things which appear harmful, and the things which are the cause of the harm, but to follow and admire the things which are useful and the causes of the useful. It is impossible, then, for a person who thinks that he is harmed to be delighted with that which he thinks to be the cause of the harm, as it is also impossible to be pleased with the harm itself. For this reason also a father is reviled by his son, when he gives no part to his son of the things which are considered to be good. And it was this which made Paulinus's and Ediocles 21 enemies, the opinion that royal power was a good. It is for this reason that the cultivator of the earth reviles the gods, for this reason the sailor does, and the merchant, and for this reason those who lose their wives and their children. For where the useful your interest is, there also piety is. 22. Consequently, he who takes care to desire as he ought, and to avoid as he ought, at the same time also cares after piety, but to make libations, and to sacrifice, and to offer first fruits according to the custom of our fathers, purely, and not meanly nor carelessly, nor scantily, nor above our ability, is a thing which belongs to all to do. Part 4. Chapter 32. When you have recourse to divination, remember that you do not know how it will turn out, but that you are come to inquire from the diviner. But of what kind it is, you know when you come, if indeed you are a philosopher. For if it is any of the things which are not in our power, it is absolutely necessary that it must be neither good nor bad. Do not then bring to the diviner desire or aversion. If you do, you will approach him with fear. But having determined in your mind that everything which shall turn out, result, is indifferent and does not concern you, and whatever it may be, for it will be in your power to use it well, and no man will hinder this. Come then with confidence to the gods as your advisers. And then, when any advice shall have been given, remember whom you have taken as advisers, and whom you will have neglected if you do not obey them. And go to divination, as Socrates said that you ought, about those matters in which all the inquiry has reference to the result, and in which means are not given either by reason nor by any other art, for knowing the thing which is the subject of the inquiry. Wherefore, when we ought to share a friend's danger, or that of our country, you must not consult the diviner whether you ought to share it. For even if the diviner shall tell you that the signs of the victims are unlucky, it is plain that this is a token of death, or mutilation of part of the body, or of exile. But reason prevails that even with these risks we should share the dangers of our friend and of our country. Therefore attend to the greater diviner, the Pythian god, who ejected from the temple him who did not assist his friend when he was being murdered. 23. Chapter 33. Immediately prescribe some character and some form to yourself, which you shall observe both when you are alone and when you meet with men. And let silence be the general rule, or let only what is necessary be said, and in few words. And rarely, and when the occasion calls, we shall say something. But about none of the common subjects, not about gladiators, nor horse races, nor about athletes, nor about eating or drinking, which are the usual subjects, and especially not about men, as blaming them or praising them or comparing them. If then you are able, bring over by your conversation the conversation of your associates to that which is proper. But if you should happen to be confined to the company of strangers, be silent. Let not your laughter be much, nor on many occasions, nor excessive. Refuse altogether to take an oath, if it is possible. If it is not, refuse as far as you are able. Avoid banquets which are given by strangers, 24, and by ignorant persons. But if ever there is occasion to join in them, let your attention be carefully fixed, that you slip not into the manners of the vulgar, the uninstructed. For you must know that if your companion be impure, he also who keeps company with him must become impure, though he should happen to be pure. Apply the things which relate to the body as far as the bare use, as food, drink, clothing, house, and slaves, but exclude everything which is for show or luxury. As to pleasure with women, abstain as far as you can before marriage. But if you do indulge in it, do it in the way which is conformable to custom. 25. Do not, however, be disagreeable to those who indulge in these pleasures, or reprove them, and do not often boast that you do not indulge in them yourself. If a man has reported to you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make any defense answer to what has been told you, but reply, "The man did not know the rest of my faults, for he would not have mentioned these only." It is not necessary to go to the theatres often, but if there is ever a proper occasion for going, do not show yourself as being a partisan of any man except yourself. That is, desire only that to be done which is done, and for him only to gain the prize who gains the prize. For in this way you will meet with no hindrance, but abstain entirely from shouts and laughter at any thing or person, or violent emotions. And when you are come away, do not talk much about what has passed on the stage, except about that which may lead to your own improvement. For it is plain, if you do talk much, that you admired the spectacle more than you ought. 26. Do not go to the hearing of certain persons' recitations, nor visit them readily. 27. But if you do attend, observe gravity and sedateness, and also avoid making yourself disagreeable. When you are going to meet with any person, and particularly one of those who are considered to be in a superior condition, place before yourself what Socrates or Zeno would have done in such circumstances, and you will have no difficulty in making a proper use of the occasion. When you are going to any of those who are in great power, place before yourself that you will not find the man at home, that you will be excluded, that the door will not be open to you, that the man will not care about you. And if with all this it is your duty to visit him, bear what happens, and never say to yourself that it was not worth the trouble. For this is silly, and marks the character of a man who is offended by externals. In company take care not to speak much and excessively about your own acts or dangers. For as it is pleasant to you to make mention of your own dangers, it is not so pleasant to others to hear what has happened to you. Take care also not to provoke laughter, for this is a slippery way towards vulgar habits, and is also adapted to diminish the respect of your neighbors. It is a dangerous habit also to approach obscene talk. When then anything of this kind happens, if there is a good opportunity, rebuke the man who has proceeded to this talk. But if there is not an opportunity, by your silence at least, and blushing an expression of dissatisfaction by your countenance, show plainly that you are displeased at such talk. Chapter 34. If you have received the impression of any pleasure, guard yourself against being carried away by it, but let the thing wait for you, and allow yourself a certain delay on your own part. Then think of both times, of the time when you will enjoy the pleasure, and of the time after the enjoyment of the pleasure when you will repent and will reproach yourself. And set against these things how you will rejoice if you have abstained from the pleasure, and how you will commend yourself. But if it seem to you seasonable to undertake, do, the thing, take care that the charm of it, and the pleasure, and the attraction of it shall not conquer you. But set on the other side the consideration how much better it is to be conscious that you have gained this victory. Chapter 36. As the proposition "it is either day or it is night" is of great importance for the disjunctive argument, but for the conjunctive is of no value. 28 so in a symposium, entertainment. To select the larger share is of great value for the body, but for the maintenance of the social feeling is worth nothing. When then you are eating with another, remember to look not only to the value for the body of the things set before you, but also to the value of the behavior towards the host, which ought to be observed. 29. Chapter 39. The measure of possession, property, is to every man the body, as the foot is of the shoe. 30. If then you stand on this rule, the demands of the body, you will maintain the measure. But if you pass beyond it, you must then of necessity be hurried, as it were down a precipice. As also in the matter of the shoe, if you go beyond the necessities of the foot, the shoe is gilded, then of a purple color, then embroidered. 31. For there is no limit to that which has once passed the true measure. Chapter 40. Women forthwith from the age of 14-32 are called by the men mistresses. Therefore, since they see that there is nothing else that they can obtain, but only the power of lying with men, they begin to decorate themselves, and to place all their hopes in this. It is worth our while then to take care that they may know that they are valued by men, for nothing else than appearing, being, decent and modest and discreet. Part 5. Roman 42:33. When any person treats you ill or speaks ill of you, remember that he does this or says this because he thinks that it is his duty. It is not possible then for him to follow that which seems right to you, but that which seems right to himself. Accordingly, if he is wrong in his opinion, he is the person who is hurt, for he is the person who has been deceived. For if a man shall suppose the true conjunction 34 to be false, it is not the conjunction which is hindered, but the man who has been deceived about it. If you proceed then from these opinions, you will be mild in temper to him who reviles you. For say on each occasion, it seemed so to him. Chapter 43. Everything has two handles, the one by which it may be borne, the other by which it may not. If your brother acts unjustly, do not lay hold of the act by that handle wherein he acts unjustly, for this is the handle which cannot be borne. But lay hold of the other, that he is your brother, that he was nurtured with you, and you will lay hold of the thing by that handle by which it can be borne. Chapter 44. These reasonings do not cohere. I am richer than you, therefore I am better than you. I am more eloquent than you, therefore I am better than you. On the contrary, these rather cohere. I am richer than you, therefore my possessions are greater than yours. I am more eloquent than you, therefore my speech is superior to yours. But you are neither possession nor speech. Chapter 45. Does a man bathe quickly, early? Do not say that he bathes badly, but that he bathes quickly. Does a man drink much wine? Do not say that he does this badly, but say that he drinks much. For before you shall have determined the opinion, 35, how do you know whether he is acting wrong? Thus it will not happen to you to comprehend some appearances which are capable of being comprehended, but to assent to others. Chapter 46. On no occasion call yourself a philosopher, and do not speak much among the uninstructed about theorems, philosophical rules, precepts, but do that which follows from them. For example, at a banquet do not say how a man ought to eat, but eat as you ought to eat. For remember that in this way Socrates, 36, also altogether avoided ostentation. Persons used to come to him and ask to be recommended by him to philosophers, and he used to take them to philosophers. So easily did he submit to being overlooked. Accordingly, if any conversation should arise among uninstructed persons about any theorem, generally be silent. For there is great danger that you will immediately vomit up what you have not digested. And when a man shall say to you that you know nothing, and you are not vexed, then be sure that you have begun the work of philosophy. For even sheep do not vomit up their grass and show to the shepherds how much they have eaten. But when they have internally digested the pasture, they produce externally wool and milk. Do you also show not your theorems to the uninstructed, but show the acts which come from their digestion? Chapter 47. When at a small cost you are supplied with everything for the body, do not be proud of this. Nor, if you drink water, say on every occasion, I drink water. But consider first how much more frugal the poor are than we, and how much more enduring of labor. And if you ever wish to exercise yourself in labor and endurance, do it for yourself and not for others. Do not embrace statues. 37. But if you are ever very thirsty, take a draught of cold water and spit it out, and tell no man. Chapter 48. The condition and characteristic of an uninstructed person is this: he never expects from himself profit, advantage, nor harm, but from externals. The condition and characteristic of a philosopher is this: he expects all advantage and all harm from himself. The signs, marks, of one who is making progress are these: he censures no man, he praises no man, he blames no man, he accuses no man, he says nothing about himself as if he were somebody or knew something. When he is impeded at all or hindered, he blames himself. If a man praises him, he ridicules the praiser to himself. If a man censures him, he makes no defense. He goes about like weak persons, being careful not to move any of the things which are placed before they are firmly fixed. He removes all desire from himself, and he transfers aversion to those things only of the things within our power which are contrary to nature. He employs a moderate movement towards everything. Whether he is considered foolish or ignorant, he cares not. And in a word, he watches himself as if he were an enemy and lying in ambush. Chapter 49. When a man is proud because he can understand and explain the writings of Chrysippus, say to yourself, if Chrysippus had not written obscurely, this man would have had nothing to be proud of. But what is it that I wish? To understand nature and to follow it. I inquire, therefore, who is the interpreter. And when I have heard that it is Chrysippus, I come to him, the interpreter. But I do not understand what is written, and therefore I seek the interpreter. And so far there is yet nothing to be proud of. But when I shall have found the interpreter, the thing that remains is to use the precepts, the lessons. This itself is the only thing to be proud of. But if I shall admire the exposition, what else have I been made unless a grammarian instead of a philosopher? Except in one thing, that I am explaining Chrysippus instead of Homer. When then any man says to me, read Chrysippus to me, I rather blush, when I cannot show my acts like to and consistent with his words. Chapter 51. How long will you then still defer thinking yourself worthy of the best things, and in no matter transgressing the distinctive reason? 39. Have you accepted the theorems, rules, which it was your duty to agree to, and have you agreed to them? What teacher, then, do you still expect that you defer to him the correction of yourself? You are no longer a youth, but already a full-grown man. If then you are negligent and slothful, and are continually making procrastination after procrastination, and proposal, intention, after proposal, and fixing day after day, after which you will attend to yourself, you will not know that you are not making improvement, but you will continue ignorant, uninstructed, both while you live until you die. Immediately, then think it right to live as a full-grown man, and one who is making proficiency, and let everything which appears to you to be the best be to you a law which must not be transgressed. And if anything laborious, or pleasant, or glorious, or inglorious be presented to you, remember that now is the contest, now are the Olympic Games, and they cannot be deferred, and that it depends on one defeat and one giving way that progress is either lost or maintained. Socrates in this way became perfect, in all things improving himself, attending to nothing except to reason. But you, though you are not yet a Socrates, ought to live as one who wishes to be a Socrates. Chapter 52. The first and most necessary place in philosophy is the use of theorems, for instance, that we must not lie. The second part is that of demonstrations, for instance, how is it proved that we ought not to lie? The third is that which is confirmatory of these two and explanatory, for example, how is this a demonstration? For what is demonstration? What is consequence? What is contradiction? What is truth? What is falsehood? The third part, topic, is necessary on account of the second, and the second on account of the first. But the most necessary, and that on which we ought to rest, is the first. But we do the contrary, for we spend our time on the third topic, and all our earnestness is about it. But we entirely neglect the first. Therefore we lie. But the demonstration that we ought not to lie we have ready to hand. Chapter 53. In everything, circumstance, we should hold these maxims ready to hand. Lead me, O Zeus, and thou, O Destiny, the way that I am bid by you to go. To follow I am ready. If I choose not, I make myself a wretch, and still must follow. 40. But whoso nobly yields unto necessity, we hold him wise, and skilled in things divine. 41. And the third also, O Credo, if so it pleases the gods, so let it be. Enarus and Melirus are able indeed to kill me, but they cannot harm me. 42. Part 6. Chapter 8. Freedom and slavery, the one is the name of virtue, and the other of vice, and both are acts of the will. But where there is no will, neither of them touches, affects, these things. But the soul is accustomed to be master of the body, and the things which belong to the body have no share in the will. For no man is a slave who is free in his will. 44. Chapter 11. If you wish to live without perturbation, and with pleasure, try to have all who dwell with you good. And you will have them good if you instruct the willing, and dismiss those who are unwilling to be taught. For there will fly away together with those who have fled away both wickedness and slavery, and there will be left with those who remain with you goodness and liberty. Chapter 15. When we have been invited to a banquet, we take what is set before us. But if a guest should ask the host to set before him fish or sweet cakes, he would be considered to be an unreasonable fellow. But in the world, we ask the gods for what they do not give, and we do this though the things are many which they have given. Chapter 16. They are amusing fellows, said he, Epictetus, who are proud of the things which are not in our power. A man says, I am better than you, for I possess much land, and you are wasting with hunger. Another says, I am of consular rank. Another says, I am a procurator. Another, I have curly hair. But a horse does not say to a horse, I am superior to you, for I possess much fodder and much barley, and my bits are of gold, and my harness is embroidered. But he says, I am swifter than you. And every animal is better or worse from his own merit, virtue, or his own badness. Is there then no virtue in man only? And must we look to the hair, and our clothes, and to our ancestors? Chapter 19. Examine yourself, whether you wish to be rich or to be happy. If you wish to be rich, you should know that it is neither a good thing nor at all in your power. But if you wish to be happy, you should know that it is both a good thing and in your power. For the one is a temporary loan of fortune, and happiness comes from the will. Chapter 20. As when you see a viper or an asp or a scorpion in an ivory or golden box, you do not on account of the costliness of the material love it or think it happy, but because the nature of it is pernicious, you turn away from it and loathe it. So when you shall see vice dwelling in wealth, and in the swollen fullness of fortune, be not struck by the splendor of the material, but despise the false character of the morals. Chapter 21. Wealth is not one of the good things. Great expenditure is one of the bad. Moderation is one of the good things. And moderation invites to frugality and the acquisition of good things. But wealth invites to great expenditure and draws us away from moderation. It is difficult then for a rich man to be moderate, or for a moderate man to be rich. 46. Chapter 22. As if you were begotten or born in a ship, you would not be eager to be the master of it so. 47. For neither there, in the ship, will the ship naturally be connected with you, nor wealth in the other case, but reason is everywhere naturally connected with you. As then reason is a thing which naturally belongs to you and is born in you. Consider this also as specially your own, and take care of it. Chapter 26. Neither is a horse elated nor proud of his manger and trappings and coverings, nor a bird of his little shreds of cloth and of his nest. But both of them are proud of their swiftness, one proud of the swiftness of the feet, and the other of the wings. Do you also then not be greatly proud of your food and dress, and in short, of any external things, but be proud of your integrity and good deeds. Chapter 27. To live well differs from living extravagantly. For the first comes from moderation and a sufficiency, and good order and propriety and frugality. But the other comes from intemperance and luxury, and want of order and want of propriety. And the end, the consequence of the one is true praise, but of the other blame. If then you wish to live well, do not seek to be commended for profuse expenditure. Chapter 32. Do not mix anger with profuse expenditure, and serve them up to your guests. Profusion which fills the body is quickly gone, but anger sinks into the soul and remains for a long time. Consider then that you be not transported with anger and insult your guests at a great expense, but rather please them with frugality and by gentle behavior. 51. Chapter 34. It is best if even in the preparations for a feast you take a part of the labor, and at the enjoyment of the food, while you are feasting, you share with those who serve the things which are before you. But if such behavior be unsuitable to the occasion, remember that you are served when you are not laboring by those who are laboring, when you are eating by those who are not eating, when you are drinking by those who are not drinking, while you are talking by those who are silent, while you are at ease by those who are under constraint. And if you remember this, you will neither being heated with anger be guilty of any absurdity yourself, nor by irritating another will you cause any mischief. 52. Chapter 35. Quarreling and contention are everywhere foolish, and particularly in talk over wine they are unbecoming. For a man who is drunk could not teach a man who is sober, nor on the other hand could a drunken man be convinced by a sober man. But where there is not sobriety, it will appear that to no purpose have you labored for the result of persuasion. 53. Chapter 36. Grasshoppers, cicadae, are musical. Snails have no voice. Snails have pleasure in being moist, but grasshoppers in being dry. Next the dew invites forth the snails, and for this they crawl out. But on the contrary the sun, when he is hot, rouses the grasshoppers, and they sing in the sun. Therefore, if you wish to be a musical man, and to harmonize well with others, when over the cups the soul is bedewed with wine, at that time do not permit the soul to go forth and to be polluted. But when in company, parties, it is fired by reason, then bid her to utter oracular words, and to sing the oracles of justice. Chapter 37. Examine in 3 ways him who is talking with you, as superior, or as inferior, or as equal. And if he is superior, you should listen to him and be convinced by him. But if he is inferior, you should convince him. If he is equal, you should agree with him, and thus you will never be guilty of being quarrelsome. Chapter 44. Whoever you are who wish to be not among the number of slaves, release yourself from slavery, and you will be free if you are released from desire. For neither Aristides nor Epaminondas nor Lycurgus, through being rich and served by slaves, were named the one just, the other a god, and the third a savior. but because they were poor and delivered Hellas, Greece, from slavery. 55. Chapter 45. If you wish your house to be well managed, imitate the Spartan Lycurgus, for as he did not fence his city with walls, but fortified the inhabitants by virtue, and preserved the city always free. 56. So do you not cast around your house a large court, and raise high towers, but strengthen the dwellers by good will and fidelity and friendship, and then nothing harmful will enter it, not even if the whole band of wickedness shall array itself against it. Chapter 52. They bring forward, they name, they mention the peevish philosophers, the Stoics, whose opinion it is that pleasure is not a thing conformable to nature, but is a thing which is consequent on the things which are conformable to nature, as justice, temperance, freedom. What then? Is the soul pleased and made tranquil by the pleasures of the body which are smaller, as Epictetus says? And is it not pleased with its own good things, which are the greatest? And indeed nature has given to me modesty, and I blush much when I think of saying anything base, indecent. This motion, feeling, does not permit me to consider, pleasure the good and the end, purpose of life. 58. Part 7. Chapter 53. In Rome the women have in their hands Plato's polity, the Republic, because it allows, advises, the women to be common, for they attend only to the words of Plato, not to his meaning. Now he does not recommend marriage and one man to cohabit with one woman, and then that the women should be common. But he takes away such a marriage and introduces another kind of marriage. And in fine, men are pleased with finding excuses for their faults. Yet philosophy says that we ought not to stretch out even a finger without a reason. 59. Chapter 56. It is just to commend Agrippinus for this reason, that though he was a man of the highest worth, he never praised himself. But even if another person praised him, he would blush. And he was such a man, Epictetus said, that he would write in praise of anything disagreeable that befell him. If it was a fever, he would write of a fever. If he was disgraced, he would write of disgrace. If he were banished, of banishment. And on one occasion, he mentioned, when he was going to dine, a messenger brought him news that Nero commanded him to go into banishment, on which Agrippinus said, well then we will dine at Aricia. 60. Chapter 67. Who among us does not admire the act of Lycurgus, the Lacedaemonian? For after he was maimed in one of his eyes by one of the citizens, and the young man was delivered up to him by the people that he might punish him as he chose, Lycurgus spared him. And after instructing him and making him a good man, he brought him into the theatre. When the Lacedaemonians expressed their surprise, Lycurgus said, I received from you this youth when he was insolent and violent. I restore him to you gentle and a good citizen. 65. Chapter 70. To suppose that we shall be easily despised by others, if we do not in every way do some damage to those who first show us their hostility, is the mark of very ignoble and foolish men. For thus, we affirm that the man is considered to be contemptible because of his inability to do damage, but much rather is a man considered to be contemptible because of his inability to do what is good, useful. 67. Alexexiv, 72. As a skillful horse-trainer does not feed only the good colts and allow to starve those who are disobedient to the rein, but he feeds both alike and chastises the one more and forces him to be equal to the other. 73. So also a careful man and one who is skilled in political power attempts to treat well those citizens who have a good character, but does not will that those who are of a contrary character should be ruined at once. And he in no manner grudges both of them their food, but he teaches and urges on with more vehemence him who resists reason and law. Exiv 75. Admirable is nature, and as Xenophon says, a lover of animated beings. The body, then, which is of all things the most unpleasant and the most foul, dirty, we love and take care of. For if we were obliged for 5 days only to take care of our neighbor's body, we should not be able to endure it. Consider then what a thing it would be to rise in the morning and rub the teeth of another, and after doing some of the necessary offices to wash those parts. In truth, it is wonderful that we love a thing to which we perform such services every day. I fill this bag, and then I empty it. 76. What is more troublesome? But I must act as the servant of God. For this reason I remain here, and I endure to wash this miserable body, to feed it and to clothe it. But when I was younger, God imposed on me also another thing, and I submitted to it. Why then do you not submit, when nature, who has given us this body, takes it away? I love the body, you may say. Well, as I said just now, nature gave you also this love of the body. But nature says, leave it now, and have no more trouble with it. Chapter 95. When a man dies young, he blames the gods. When he is old and does not die, he blames the gods because he suffers when he ought to have already ceased from suffering. And nevertheless, when death approaches, he wishes to live, and sends to the physician and entreats him to omit no care or trouble. Wonderful, he said, are men who are neither willing to live nor to die. 77. Chapter 97. When we are children, our parents deliver us to a pedagogue to take care on all occasions that we suffer no harm. But when we are become men, God delivers us to our innate conscience to take care of us. This guardianship, then, we must in no way despise, for we shall both displease God and be enemies to our own conscience. 78. Chapter 105. Listen to those who wish to advise what is useful, but not to those who are eager to flatter on all occasions. For the first really see what is useful, but the second look to that which agrees with the opinion of those who possess power, and imitating the shadows of bodies, they assent to what is said by the powerful. Chapter 109. A pirate had been cast on the land, and was perishing through the tempest. A man took clothing, and gave it to him, and brought the pirate into his house, and supplied him with everything else that was necessary. When the man was reproached by a person for doing kindness to the bad, he replied, I have shown this regard not to the man, but to mankind. 79. Chapter 133. In poverty any man can live, happily, but very seldom in wealth and power. The value of poverty excels so much that no just man would exchange poverty for disreputable wealth, unless indeed the richest of the Athenians, Themistocles, the son of Neocles, was better than Aristides and Socrates, though he was poor in virtue. But the wealth of Themistocles and Themistocles himself have perished and have left no name. For all things die with death in a bad man, but the good is eternal. 86. Chapter 134. Remember that such was, and is, and will be the nature of the universe, and that it is not possible that the things which come into being can come into being otherwise than they do now, and that not only men have participated in this change and transmutation, and all other living things which are on the earth, but also the things which are divine. And indeed, the very 4 elements are changed and transmuted up and down, and earth becomes water, and water becomes air, and the air again is transmuted into other things, and the same manner of transmutation takes place from above to below. If a man attempts to turn his mind towards these thoughts, and to persuade himself to accept with willingness that which is necessary, he will pass through life with complete moderation and harmony. Chapter 136. All things obey and serve the world, the universe, earth and sea and sun and the rest of the stars, and the plants of earth and animals. And our body obeys it also both in disease and in health when it, the universe, chooses, both in youth and in age, and when it is passing through the other changes. What is reasonable then and in our power is this, for our judgment not to be the only thing which resists it, the universe. For it is strong and superior, and it has determined better about us by administering, governing, us also together with the whole. And besides, this our position also is unreasonable, and does nothing more than cause us to be tormented uselessly, and to fall into pain and sorrow. Of the things which are, God has put some of them in our power, and some he has not. In our own power he has placed that which is the best and the most important, that indeed through which he himself is happy, the use of appearances. For when this use is rightly employed, there is freedom, happiness, tranquility, constancy. And this is also justice and law and temperance and every virtue. But all other things he has not placed in our power. Wherefore we also ought to be of one mind with God, and making this division of things, to look after those which are in our power, and of the things not in our power, to entrust them to the universe, and whether it should require our children, or our country, or our body, or anything else, willingly to give them up. 91. When Archelaus was sending for Socrates to make him rich, Socrates told the messengers to return this answer. At Athens 4 measures, chonuses, of meal are sold for 1 arbalus, the 1/6 of a drachm, and the fountains run with water. If what I have is not enough, sufficient for me, yet I am sufficient for what I have, and so it becomes sufficient for me. Do you not see that it was with no nobler voice that Polus acted the part of Oedipus as king, than of Oedipus as a wanderer and beggar at Carlonus? Then shall the good man appear to be inferior to Polus, and unable to act well every character, personage, imposed on him by the deity, and shall he not imitate Ulysses, who even in rags made no worse figure than in the soft purple robe? 92. Part 8. What do I care, he Epictetus says, whether all things are composed of atoms, or of similar parts, or of fire and earth? For is it not enough to know the nature of the good and the evil, and the measures of the desires and the aversions, and also the movements towards things and from them, and using these as rules to administer the affairs of life, but not to trouble ourselves about the things above us? For these things are perhaps incomprehensible to the human mind. And if any man should even suppose them to be in the highest degree comprehensible, what then is the profit of them, if they are comprehended? And must we not say that those men have needless trouble who assign these things as necessary to the philosopher's discourse? Is then also the precept written at Delphi superfluous, which is know thyself? It is not so, he says. What then is the meaning of it? If a man gave to a chorus, member of chorus, the precept to know himself, would he not have observed in the precept that he must direct his attention to himself? 93. He, Epictetus, said that he had discovered an art in giving assent, and in the topic matter of the movements he had discovered that we must observe attention, that the movements be subject to exception, that they be social, that they be according to the worth of each thing, and that we ought to abstain entirely from desire, and to employ aversion to none of the things which are not in our power. 95. Chapter 179. All, Gellius, Romans 17:19. Favorinum ego audivi dicer Epictetum philosophum dixis, plerasc istos qui philosopheri videnta, philosophos es hugissimodi. 97. Id significat, factis procul verbis tennis. Jam illud est vehementius, quad areanus salidum eum dictater in libris, quos de dissertationibus ejus comparsut, scriptum reliquit. Nam, quam, inquit. Animadverterat hominum pudor amisso, importuna industria, corruptis moribus, audesum, confidentum lingua, ciderac omnia preda animum procurentum. Istius modi, inquit. Harmine me quam vidrat studia quoque, et disciplinas philosophiae contricter, et physica adaer et meditari dialectica, multac id genus theoremata suspicari, cicida ric. Inclamabat diem ac hominum fidem, ac plerumc, inter clamandum his eum verbis increpabat. Nihil profcto his verbis gravius, nihil virius, quibus declarabat maximus philosophorum. Literas ac doctrinas philosophiae, quam in hominum falsum ac degenerum, tamquam in vas spurcum ac pollutum influxissent, verdi, mutari, corrumpi, et urinam firi, aut si quid est urina spurtius, praeterea idem ille Epictetus, quad ex eardum favorino audivimus, salaris dicer est. Duo es vicia multo omnium gravissima et tiderima, intolerentium et incontinentium, quam aut injurias qui sunt, ferendi non toleramus nec ferimus, aut quibus rebus voluptatibus nas tenor, debimus non tenemus. Idac inquit, si quis hic duo verba cordi habat, hic sibi imperando atque observando curat, is erit plerac impeccabilis vidanc vivit tranquillissimam. Verba duo hic dispat. Chapter 180. All Gellius, Roman 19:1. Philosophus in disciplina stoica celebratus, ex sarcinula sua librum procelit Epicteti philosophi quintum. Quas Aberiano digestas congruus scriptis zenonis, et Chrysippe non dubium est. In eo libro Graeca silicit oration scriptum ad hanc sententiam legimus. Visa animi, quas philosophy appellant, qui bus mens homines prima stadium specie accidentes, ad animum re pellida, non voluntaris sunt, nec arbitraria, sed Romans 6 quadam sua inferent, sis hominibus nascitanda. Probations aurum quas vocant, quibus idem visa nascanter ac digudicanta. Voluntari sunt fiant hominem arbitratu. Propteria quam sonus aliquis, aut calo aut ex ruina, aut repentinus nesiusc, pericali nuntius vel quid aliud igismodi factum. Sapientis quoque animum paulusper moveri, et contra hae, et palacia necessum est. Non opinioni alicutus mali precepta, sed quibusdem modibus, rapidis, et inconsultis officium, mentis ac rationis privatentibus. Marx tamen illes sapiens ibidem idem. Id est, visaristic animi sui terrifica non approbat. Hoc est, sed objisit respuit, nec I metuendum es in his quidquam vita. Ac hoc inter incipientis, sapientisc animum differa dicant. Quad incipiens, qualies primo animi sui pulsu visa, sunt siver et aspera. Talia es viro pudet, et idem incepta tamquam duo metuenda sint, sua quoque ascension approbat. Hoc enim verbo stoici, quam super ista rediscerunt utunta. Sapiens aurum quam brevita, et strictum color ac vultu modus est, sed starum vigornc sententiae sui retinet. Quam de hugis immodi vices, semper habuit, ut de minim metuendis, sed front falsa, et formidine inani terratantibus.